Hi guys, so today I am going to be talking about my experience with endometriosis and the surgery that I just got. So, well first, endometriosis, I have the definition here. Okay. Endometriosis is a disorder in which tissue that normally lines the uterus grows outside of the uterus. The tissue can be found on the ovaries, fallopian tubes, or intestine. It pretty much just spreads throughout your reproductive system, your reproductive organs, and organs around it. It is a chronic illness, has no cure. I believe they're doing research to see if they can find a cure, but so far there's no cure. You have to be diagnosed for it, and they can do lab testing, ultrasounds, things like that. I'll just kind of tell how I got mine, like my diagnosis, and yeah. So when I was younger, every month whenever that time would come, I would be in like the worst pain ever. And I know like sometimes I would just take Motrin, ibuprofen, and then I kind of got like, oh no, I don't want to take anything, because I felt like I took so many one time that I just don't like taking medicine anymore, because I rather just naturally deal with everything. Whenever I got older, I went on birth control. So I went from the shot for like 3 years, and then I ended up on pills. So I did birth control for 8 years, and then on birth control everything's regular because it just regulates your system. Whenever I got off of birth control, I ended up like having like irregular periods. Like sometimes it wouldn't come for like 3 months, and then finally it started coming regularly. Whenever they became regular, it was like September 2017. So, well, actually they started getting regular, and then in September of 2017 is whenever I first experienced pain. It was like excruciating pain. Like all I can do is just lay down. Pretty much I would just ball up, and like my friend would let me use her heating pad. It didn't really seem like an investment that I needed to make, so I didn't get my own heat. I would like lay down all day. Like I couldn't move. I would lay like in a ball, and if I got in one spot, I wasn't gonna move that spot like for the rest of the day. Over time that would happen every time. Then it started getting even worse, to the point where I didn't even want to eat. I got a new job. I started there. It seems like every time I wouldn't really experience it unless it was over the weekend. Like it was perfect timing on the weekends that I had to go through a period. You know, sometimes they adjust, so it ended up being, eventually it ended up, you know, coming during the weeks whenever I would have to work, and I would just still go to work, and I'd be in pain. I'd sit at my desk with the heating pad, but I would still lose my appetite for like at least 3 to 5 days at a time, if not more. I would feel sick, so I got on Google. So yeah, and I tried to look up what maybe could be wrong. So I found period flu, and then I just self-diagnosed myself with period flu. I went, finally, it kept happening, and I would keep being in pain. I would like leave for like, disappear for like an hour or more from work. My supervisor is very understanding that I would be in pain, and they would just try to make sure like, okay, is she okay? Shout out to Billy. One day, it was like the day before, well, I think it was in April. I don't know when it was, but my birthday was coming up. I was gonna be off work, and my supervisor, Billy, said, don't do anything yet today until you have a doctor's appointment, and you have told me that it's scheduled, and your schedule is gonna need to be altered for your doctor's appointment, so that I know you have it. So I asked a coworker who her gynecologist is, and she referred me to Dr. O, and I scheduled my appointment for April 18th, like the day before my birthday. So I went that day, and then I talked to Dr. O, and I told her I diagnosed myself with period flu, and she was like, okay, no, you probably have endometriosis. And so I was like, I didn't know what it was, so I was just like, oh, okay, maybe, like, perfect, we'll know what it is. So she ran like 7 tests that day. He asked me all these questions. It kind of linked to like fertility, and like she asked me enough questions, I guess, to see like was it possible that I had endometriosis. So she ran a bunch of tests, or I don't know what they were. It was like 7 tests she ran. Time passed. It seems like I went back in between that. Oh yeah, I had another procedure. Eventually I went back in June for like one of my last appointments with her, and she did an internal ultrasound, because that's the only other way that you can diagnose endometriosis. You can diagnose endometriosis with surgery. It mainly has to be diagnosed by surgery, but if you do an ultrasound and you can see certain stuff, then your doctor can say like, oh, you have endometriosis. So she did the internal ultrasound, and then when it came back, I'll call it better that. So she did the internal ultrasound, and when it came back, she could see that I had cyst. If you have like chocolate cyst, you can just Google chocolate cyst, because I don't want to go into all the details. So whenever I sat with her again, she was like, so you have endometriosis, because she could see that I had the cyst. Like, oh, okay, great. So we scheduled me for a laparoscopic surgery. Laparoscopy, yeah. I wanted my surgery like as soon as possible to get out of the way, so I wouldn't freak myself out over time. So ended up scheduling it for July 17th. It was on a Wednesday, so I had to do all the paperwork and everything to be out of work for the time. She told me pretty much during the surgery I would be asleep for everything, and then I would just wake up and everything would be over. So I was nervous that either I was gonna still be awake, or that I was gonna wake up and there was still gonna be stuff going on, or things attached to me that I was told would be like tubes and throat catheters and everything. So I went on the day of surgery. Yeah, so my boyfriend of course was going with me, Bev, and his mom said that she would go too, because I was telling him that my doctor was gonna eventually, like while I was asleep, come out, show pictures, or I guess like in the middle of surgery, like she's gonna come out, show pictures to whoever is there, explain what's going on. And he was kind of like, oh no, I don't know, all of that. We just said, okay, well, if his mom comes in, she would be like a great help too, to kind of understand everything, and she's a lady, so things like that. So you have to buy a soap. It's called Hibiclens, but they'll tell you all of this. So you have to shower with it the night before surgery and the morning of, but you only shower like your body, like certain spots, and the doctor and the nurse, they'll tell you all of this before, well, actually the hospital calls you. There's a hospital phone call that you have to do, and you have a pre-op appointment with your doctor before surgery. So they'll tell you everything you have to do. You have to fast the night before. My surgery was on Wednesday. The last meal I had was on Monday for dinner, and then the last liquid I had was on Tuesday, like right before lunch. Like maybe I didn't have anything to drink since like 2 p.m. on Tuesday. And they ask you this several times at the hospital. Like everyone that comes up to you, they'll ask you, what is your name, what is your birthday, what are you here for, do you know what surgery you're getting, when is the last time you ate, when is the last time you had liquid. You have to know it and answer the question every time. I guess they want to confirm that you know who you are. Like, I don't know. Okay, so we're at the hospital.
How you feel?
Excited.
Level 1. Are you tired? Mm-hmm. Are you excited? Mm-hmm. I don't know if we can record through the hospital like this though.
You can record me though, but I'm going to get a little out. It's check-in time. It's real. Couldn't wear any lotion, so I'm really ashy. Except my lips are moisturized.
Cause of me.
So we're in the waiting room, and then they take you to the back.
Yeah. All that time.
We could get to.
It's a whole hospital.
All right, she's gonna get you checked in, get your.
How you feeling? How you call? How you start?
For special occasions,
We are here and she's ready. Glowing, beautiful, strong.
You don't have a wristband.
That's black power. That's Wakanda forever.
Oh. And then you get your own little like bed and area. You change.
Are you really cold? Because I can do this first, and then this. It's like a spacesuit with the blankets. The heat rises and it goes into that.
Should my stomach still be cold?
Jay,
No,
really?
it feels really minty.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
gonna feel like that, and it's gonna feel itchy.
Wow. Huh? You ready?
Nah, I wasn't ready actually.
Okay.
They put the needle in your, mine was in my wrist, like here. Okay, it's not focusing on that. So yeah, mine was like right here in my wrist. I've seen a lot of people's in their hands. I don't know why mine was in my wrist.
Did it hurt?
All done, so I can call downstairs and have your mom come up now too.
Okay.
You all right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's the worst part of the day. Now you can get all the good medications that make you nice and relaxed and feel good.
have you been under anesthesia for surgery previously? No? Not even as a child? Ear tubes, tonsils, anything like that?
Then they go ahead and give you the IV. And I heard you can ask for like certain medicines so that you're not nauseous or anxious or stressed or however. Since I never take medicine anyway, I was like, oh, I'm not gonna take any of the medicine. Like, I'm not gonna ask for anything. I don't want anything. I won't worry about it. I'll be fine. Like, I'm not even paranoid. Like, I actually was pretty calm the whole time. So I was calm the whole time until Bebe decides he wants to read me something, and he asked me could he read me something. I wish this was on camera, but it's not. We didn't record this. But he asked me if he could read me something, and I thought it was gonna be like, oh, just in case you don't wake up, like, I want to read you this. And I was like, no. So I like had like a slight breakdown, and then he like broke down too. And I'm like not an emotional person, so this was like, what is going on? Like, why are we crying? We both had a breakdown in the little room. And then his mom had to grab tissues for him. To get my face in. He got me all fired up and trying to read it.
We're going to close.
After the breakdown, the nurse or whoever, I don't know, she came back in and she said, oh, I gave you something to calm you down. It might not have been her. It might have been the anesthesia, his assistant. I don't know, but they gave me something and said, oh, this is gonna calm you down. So I didn't even know they had given it to me. I just know they were like, oh, this is gonna calm you down. And so I don't really remember feeling calm because I wasn't paying attention to it, because at this point they were rolling me away from everyone and I was gonna be by myself. So I wasn't really thinking about anything. Maybe that means I was calm because I was just kind of laying there like watching to see where I was going.
I'm taking care of her.
Alright.
You follow me halfway. And
Alright, we'll be downstairs waiting for you.
So I end up in like an operating room. I see, well, like the bed that I'm on, and there's another table that they seem to have rolled me beside, and there's another table, but I think that's where all the surgical instruments were. I'm not really sure, but there were a lot of people at the table over there, and I'm like close to legally blind, so I didn't have my glasses on the whole time, so I couldn't really see. I can just see like objects and figures and shadows, so I don't really know who was who at this point. But I did notice my doctor. I noticed my doctor because my doctor, she's like the best. My doctor, she's a black female, and then everyone else wasn't black. So when we rolled in, I could clearly see her standing between like maybe two computers or two structures, I'm not sure. The anesthesia assistant, he was with me from the room until we got into there, so I knew who he was, and he stayed beside me the whole time. And the anesthesiologist came back up. This is when I don't remember anything. First it was just the assistant, and then the anesthesiologist came over too, and then they're both talking to me, and I'm just talking, like responding to whatever they're saying, and I thought I was interacting, and then all of a sudden I woke up and there was a lady beside me like on a computer doing something. I was still blind at this point, and I see like maybe like other like curtains, beds. The nurse took me back down to, I guess, like the recovery. Well, maybe that was recovery, because I guess I was asleep for a while. Yeah, so then they took me to another part of the hospital, and that's whenever they told Bebe that him and his mom could come back up to the room. And so I was already like waking up, like I was not sleeping. Yeah, I wasn't really asleep anymore.
Oh, you gotta wipe them out, you said.
Have to go home.
All right, we'll let that work a few minutes and then we'll get you up, okay? Yeah, I know it ain't okay, but it's gonna happen.
What?
I'm drooling.
Oh.
Let me give it to you out of the can. Yeah, this is better room temperature. I be like, Lord, Jesus, you gonna be cramping bad.
I called your mom and your aunt Tanya, let them know you was alright. Oh, the Grammy, I didn't. I totally forgot.
They came in, and then they were telling me like what the doctor said. I kind of don't remember everything, but I remember some of the things they were telling me. Oh, my battery is dying. I did my makeup for this, and my battery is dying, and this is not okay. Then the nurse, she came in, she was like, okay, we're gonna go ahead and let you use the bathroom and get dressed, you know, so that you can leave because you get to go home. Well, first, actually, there was another nurse, and she was like, okay, you ready to go? And I was like, no. I wanted to just go back to sleep. I was really tired. And she was like, okay, well, you have to go. Like, you have to go home. So I watched YouTube videos before my surgery, and everyone kind of seemed like they hit these points of where, like, they couldn't go home, or they stayed longer, whether it was longer in the day, or they stayed an extra day, like overnight, or they stayed for like 5 days. They were like, no, you're going home. Like, you have to go. So they let me use the bathroom, get dressed. I actually was able to use the bathroom, but if I wouldn't have used it, she would have still let me go home, from what I was told. Like, she was like, oh, don't worry about it. If you can't go, that's fine. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna go, because I didn't want it to get to the point where they were like, oh, she didn't use the bathroom, she has to stay. I know my boyfriend said they did, for fertility reasons, they did a dye test, and they put like blue dye through your cervix and uterus and fallopian tubes to see if it goes out, and so mine was all the way clear. So she said I was clear there. She got all the endometriosis cleaned up, like that pretty much she needed to do. She didn't go too far to do like too much to where I would have maybe a harder recovery, Yeah, so I eventually used the bathroom, got dressed, and then we left. And that I remember, oh, they got me a wheelchair.
Your chariot is here.
Sit down. Nice and easy now. Don't flop down. Take a deep breath.
Wheeled all the way down. There was a lady who was like transportation of the hospital, so she did all like the wheelchair and everything.
All right. All right. Thank you so much. Certain amount of time so you can get it and bring it up, so we don't have it together before you leave. So
Yeah.
Got
Your nails look pretty.
thank you. They look crazy right now. They say we're supposed to stop right here, but I can just take y'all. I'll show y'all where we're gonna.
I got in the car and I came home.
Good. Hold your blanket. Where is it? Yeah, I'm gonna go right now. We gotta go get some food. You wanna hold it? Best case scenario, that was the best case.
Anyway.
She said, you know, when you're not trying, forgive. That the way to manage is to get on birth control.
That day, like I think I had some soup. I had a lot of tea.
Where you think you going, buddy? Anyway.
You want something particular from the store, baby?
Can I have some potato sauce?
Oh, can you have that?
He said you might not want to eat, but like you said, you don't want to greasy.
Can you have that?
Until like a couple days, you know. She said the grease don't. You can't.
Sorry, buddy.
I'll have some soup.
Just soup, okay.
That don't look like chicken noodle to me.
Do you want some?
Oh.
I never really did the cough drops. My throat was sore afterwards because of the tube, but it wasn't so bad, so I didn't really worry about like the cough drops. I don't really like cough drops, but I did drink peppermint tea. And yeah, pretty much filmed everything for you to see.
It's home style. Nice and thin. It's real good too. Put some black pepper in that thing. No ma'am, no ma'am. No salt. No salt. You can have a little sprinkle of pepper, but no salt. Hey y'all, I'm dictating what she can eat. Look at. No salt, ma'am. No salt. Don't you look at me like that.
The crew had no idea, but they were heading down a blind alley. It's enormous size.
You don't even remember going to sleep. And then, oh man.
First person I've seen since surgery is here.
Were held for
Investigations that happened after the event. It was found
they didn't have that type of money or insurance, so
I can't make her laugh.
the tugboat was eventually auctioned off.
Unfortunately, and I have some shots of my stomach for after the surgery. As well as whenever I finally took the band-aids off, they said you can go home, don't shower until the next day, and then take the bandages off after the shower. So I have that. I have a video, a clip of that here. And then I also inserted like me showing my stomach a little bit after, like a week after. And then today is a week and 2 days after, and I can show you my stomach today too. So the bloating is finally gone down. It's 1 and 2. But yeah, that's pretty much how my story goes as far as endometriosis. I had like a very easy recovery. I was able to move around and stuff after a while. I didn't hurt like that. I'm also very used to pain, so maybe I just didn't think I hurt. I stopped taking my medicine. I'm supposed to have my period coming up, so I heard that it kind of hurts worse at first around those times. So I kind of have pain now, and the pill, I only took 1. I didn't want to take 2. It didn't help. So I think I'm just gonna experience the pain. So I'm in pain right now, but it's not so bad, so I'm okay. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments, or you can DM me on Instagram. Maybe I'm of help to someone, I don't know. Thanks for watching this video. I hope it is helpful to some people, and I'll try to focus some more on endometriosis in some of my later videos too.
We gon' get to this cake like it's your birthday. His nigga said it's a snack, but I'm his entree. I call this nigga the J to my Beyonce. I might just let him produce me like he Kanye.